With the rerun of the first Russian event, we have a chance to get some strong ships, which will be advantageous for later stages. Hello and welcome. This is Neldrin, and today, let's discuss the rerun of Northern Overture. But before that, if you haven't subscribed yet, here's the sign you are looking for to hit the subscribe button. Northern Overture is the first Lite event introduced in the game. Contrary to previous reruns, the Lite event is only for 1 week. Both the Phase 1 and 2 of the event are condensed into a single week. Because of the shorter event period, there will be a reduction in the required point accumulation, and the prices in the event shop are dropped. If you are just starting out, building in the event pool is highly advisable, because the gold rarity ships are strong, especially the vanguards. Try to accumulate enough points to acquire Gongut, because her quick load is great for clearing early stages. More details to be discussed later on. If you are an experienced player, but miss out the original run, my advice is to get at least these 3 vanguards. And you can skip out the rest, if you are only after their performance. Of course, if you are a collector, I won't stop you from getting all of them. Another consideration for your build is that, there is an announcement from a Chinese site, that there will be a large-scale event at the end of month. Nothing is mentioned which faction, and if there will be a UR ship. I'm also not sure if this will apply to EN server. But given the trend from previous events, I have high hopes. Now let's check the returning ships. First we got Sovetskaya Rossiya. She's one of your typical barraging battleships. Her firepower is competitive enough even to the recently released battleships. Her first red skill is a barrage and applies slow debuff. The barrage pattern is widely spread, and this is fired in front of her. Her second red skill will buff her firepower and accuracy depending on the number of Russian and Chinese ships in her fleet. This will only apply to her first 2 battles. If you will compare Rossiya to the recently released ships, and to PR ships, she falls short. Don't get me wrong, her stats are amazing. However, the combination of her skills are terrible. Her barrage is designed for mobbing. However, her buffs only apply to the first 2 battles, which is a conflict from her in the mob fleet. Because at later stages, you need at least 6 battles to spawn the boss. Comparing her to other mobbing battleships, she's the only one who lacks self-heal, which might be an inconvenience at later stages. But if you are just starting out, she's an amazing ship to carry you for earlier stages. Her only competition is Monarch, which will require a tedious way of acquiring and upgrading her. If you already owned any of the 2 event limited ships, then Rossiya is more or less a collection tier for me. Next is Enterprise.
Wait a minute.
ごめんね。すまぬ。ごめんな。申し訳ねえ。
じゃあミュートします。
ミュートします。くそがー！何もしてねえだろ、ボケがよ！加減しろ！何もしてねえだろがよ！
Next is Shapayev. She's one of my waifu. I mean, our waifu. Her stats are relatively close to top-tier cruisers. She also got strong anti-air. Her red skill is a special barrage, other than her all-out assault. The said barrage inflicts burn damage. Her yellow skill will increase her crit rate and main gun velocity. Additionally, she will deal more damage to enemy destroyers, plus reducing their evasion. Overall, Shapayev is one of the best loot in this event. Her stats are great and her skills are countered to destroyers, which is highly seen in Stage 14. As mentioned earlier, her good anti-air will also make her a good choice for Stages 12 and 13. With double barrage and having a destroyer gun on her secondary slot, she's considered as an upgraded version of the Cleveland class. I know that every event, we are sick of getting Trashkent. But this time, we now have a chance to get Trashkent.
Hey, 指揮官
Trashkent is another strong ship to get from this event. She's the blue cruiser. Wait. That's kinda sus. Her red skill will increase her firepower, plus she will summon a pixie at the start of the battle. The pixie will damage and slow enemies. This skill highly reminds me of Lulu from League of Legends. Her yellow skill will increase the main gun efficiency and accuracy for all Russian destroyers when using a Russian main gun. Even though this sounds convoluted, in practice, this will only apply to herself, due to most Russian destroyers suck. Overall, Trashkent is a top-tier gunboat destroyer. She boasts the highest firepower among the destroyers, and the self-buff is not yet included here. Considering the said firepower buff, plus her pixie that acts as her secondary gun, and a good all-out assault pattern, she is almost considered a top, light cruiser in terms of firepower. Next, let me introduce to you our Painiad Mercuria. Okay, let's try one more time. Painiad is a light cruiser which used to be trash. But with the introduction of her retrofit last year, she got a huge improvement. I know that I gave her retrofit a bad review a year ago, and I'm taking that back. It's a mistake on my part. Yes, her offensive stat sucks. But because she will now wield DD guns and a main gun +1. This is a huge leap for her overall offense. Her red skill grants her bonus damage to heavy cruisers and battleships, and has a chance to evade all attacks. Once you unlock her retrofit skill, she will have increased torpedo and accuracy, and has a chance to fire a special barrage that can slow the enemies. Painiad is a bad girl on acquisition, but a good girl once you complete her retrofit. Even though the activation rate of her evasion buff is quite low. At later stages and other late game content, enemies have overwhelming attacks, which will give more opportunity to activate this skill. Her retrofit skill can be unreliable at times. And I don't fully recommend it as your main source of debuff, when you are syncing your airstrike or salvos. Still, this is a good skill that will complement your other debuffs. Lastly, let's ask Painiad about her favorite pastime. Gongut is a battleship that can be acquired by point accumulation. If you check her stats, you'll probably think that Renown is way better than her. However, her red skill drastically increased her offense on her first 4 reloads. In practice, she will fire her main gun every 15 seconds, making her a formidable force to reckon with for 1 minute. I'm thinking of her as the Ultraman of Russia because of her limited uptime. Additionally, she also buffs other Russian ships, which is a must-have on a Russian fleet. Her blue skill is an additional defense once her HP drops below 30%. But let's be honest. This skill is very unlikely to trigger. And if it does, it is probably you are pushing her to the limits. Overall, Gongut is a great ship that can carry new players up to mid-stages. Because of her quick and strong reload for the first minute, which technically, most of the battles. However, due to not having special barrage and her strong firepower is limited, she may not be the right choice for later stages where enemies are overwhelming. Minsk and Grozny won't be discussed since they are collection tier ships. Although I do love Minsk's visual design. Hoping she will have a retrofit soon. As much as possible, try to acquire them because no one knows if they will get a strong retrofit, similar to, in the case of Painiad last year. For the event shop. Like always, reserve enough points and only buy the ships when you are unlucky to get them from construction or map drop. I highly suggest to prioritize buying the 3 equipment first, because they are limited edition to this event, and the 3 of them offers a huge advantage. The Chappie gun is the second best cruiser gun, which only got beaten by the PR2 gun. Trashkent gun is the best DD gun for light armor, and should be used for Trashkent to enjoy the buffs from her yellow skill. The Intel report is also one of the best auxiliary for gunboat destroyers, as it provides HP and firepower. The PR blueprints are still a good buy, even if it is for PR2 only. This can be converted into prototype cores if you already completed at least one PR2 ship, which can be used to buy rainbow rarity gun blueprints. Cognitive chips are also a good buy and a good investment for later stages, because it is needed to awaken your ships or limit break past level 100. The rest of the items will be depending on your current needs. For farming, I suggest farming A3 and B3 for beginners for a chance to obtain the event limited ships. This will save you some points to spend on other items in the shop that I mentioned earlier. For experienced players, C1 or C3 for the items needed. But if you are after event points, go for C2 as it only requires 4 battles to spawn the boss. Or in other words, oil-efficient farming. But I highly recommend farming on D3 if you can, so that you can also farm for Chappie gun 2, which is the second best cruiser gun. To summarize, the Northern Overture event is packed with strong ships for beginners. For experienced players, the 3 vanguards are good to have. The 3 equipment in the shop is a must-have. And farming for Chappie gun in D3 is highly recommended. I hope that you get the strong ships in this event. If I missed something, or there are things you want to share, feel free to type it down in the comments section. And don't forget to subscribe and share this video to support my channel. You guys are awesome, and see you next time.